listening to
Catholic Sprout,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith.
Hello there, Sprouts. Today is March 12th, and we are continuing our conversation this week about charisms. So as we learned on day one, charisms are special graces given to us by God to build up the church. And so we've been talking about charisms as a whole, but we haven't yet touched on what some of the actual charisms you might have could be. So what are some of the individual options for charisms? So to begin, it's really important for us to note that the Catholic Church never published a list and said, these are the exact and only charisms of the Holy Spirit. And the reason for that is because the Holy Spirit is the most creative being you can possibly imagine, so much more creative than you or me or any person that has ever lived. So there are so many things that the Holy Spirit can do, but at the same time, we want to be clear on things that the Holy Spirit has regularly done throughout the history of the church. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this isn't to say these are the only things the Holy Spirit could ever give you, but these are things that the Holy Spirit has given as gifts again and again throughout the history of the church. These are really easy things to find within the lives of the saints. So you can look at the lives of saints and pull out some of these charisms from them because, like I said, this list, these ones we're going to talk about today are things that the Holy Spirit has given over and over and over again throughout the history of the church. So these gifts fall into kind of three main categories with a secret fourth bonus category that we're going to talk about at the end. So the three main categories that the charisms fall into is organization, provision, and formation. So if you think about what it is that the church needs to function, the church needs to be organized. The church needs to be provided for, so they have all the things that they need. And the church needs to be formed. The church needs education and understanding to be able to continue. Charisms of organization are things like administration or leadership, helping the church to really take form and be able to be a structure that's going to continue. If you think about maybe you're a part of an organization, maybe you're in a club or a group, there's some kind of organization to that allows it to continue. That's what the Holy Spirit provides through those organizational charisms. There's also charisms of provision, things like giving, healing, hospitality, mercy, intercession, service. That provides what it is that people need. It heals people's illnesses. It allows people to be fed and clean and housed, and all of those basic human needs being met, not just in a natural way, but in a supernatural way, so that God Himself is coming and being a part of us receiving those basic needs, the same way that your parents provide for your basic needs, making sure you have those things, but not just have them, to have them with love, to be given those things with love. And that's what God does for the whole church through the charisms of provision. And finally, once everybody is organized, once everybody has all their basic needs met, then it's time for the whole church to receive formation. Just like your parents have made sure that you're wearing clothes and that you've had something to eat, now you're listening to Catholic Sprouts. Now it's time for you to be formed, to receive the formation that you need to become a great Catholic kid. So charisms of formation can be things like evangelism, encouragement, knowledge, teaching, wisdom, craftsmanship, music even. These things that allow us to be well formed both as human beings and as Catholics. So we're just hitting the high points today, going through them really quickly, but there's resources that we have for your parents where you can see the whole list. And we're going to share more about those at the very end of the episode. Like I said, there's kind of a secret fourth category of charisms that I like to call ways of being. These are almost, if you can almost think of them like power-ups. They're things that make your existing charisms even more free and even stronger in a lot of ways. And those are celibacy and voluntary poverty. These are things we see a lot in the lives of the saints and in the holy men and women that we know in our lives. Because when someone takes a vow of celibacy, like priests and religious and single lay people, they are more free to be able to spend their time giving the gifts that God has given them. And same with voluntary poverty. When people are really detached from stuff, from things, they're able to be really freely available to God to give everything that they have, both material possessions and everything in their spirit. All the things that God has poured into their heart and soul, they're able to give away with that same level of holy detachment. That was a whole lot of things in a really short time, so don't worry if you don't remember all of them. Like I said, we've got some great things for your parents to be able to download and see all of the different possible charisms that you might have with kid-friendly definitions so that you can get a sense of what these charisms might look like in the lives of kids. My challenge for you today, Sprouts, is to think about those three big categories: organization, provision, and formation. Which one are you most drawn towards? Do you really like to help organize things and to lead your friends and your siblings? Or do you like to provide for people? Do you like cooking in the kitchen? Do you like decorating, making a nice home? Or do you love formation? Do you love school? Do you love learning? Do you love music and art and creating things that help people encounter God? So just start reflecting on those different categories and which one you resonate with the most. I'll be back again tomorrow talking a little bit more about how we can know which charism we've been given. I hope you'll join me. God bless.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God created you to be.
My name is Jill Simons, and I'm guest host on this week's Catholic Sprouts. I am also executive director at Many Parts Ministries, which is an apostolate that helps Catholics of all ages learn about and discern their charisms. I would absolutely love the opportunity to help your family better understand their charisms, and we have great resources for both adults and children to do just that. If you visit manypartsministries.com/charisms for kids with no spaces, no hyphens, just charisms for kids, you'll find our entire set of resources, both for adults and for kids. We've got a great free download available for children right now. It is kid-friendly definitions of all 24 charisms, as well as a really fun game of Would You Rather that you can play with your entire family and start exploring what your possible charisms might be together.
This podcast is part of the Spoke Street Network. For more great podcasts, visit spokestreet.com.